It's time.
You know what? Should we do our picks quick, and then let's jump into LIV.
We'll
at the end. Finish with LIV.
Sounds good.
Let's jump into our picks quick. I'll do a quick recap, or a quick rundown of what we have coming up. So we are at the RVC Canadian Open, St. George's Golf Course, not the Royal St. George's that you might be thinking of, but St. George's Golf Course, Golf and Country Club in Ontario. So it's a short course. It's plays under 7,100 yards. It's a par 70, a little bit different than typical par 70s. Typically, par 70s, you see 2 par 5s, 4 par 3s. But this week, we're seeing 3 par 5s, 5 par 3s. Hazards. The big thing that I kept getting mentioned is the rough is really, really grown out. They grew it out. They're making it tough because of the U.S. Open next week. And then early rains in the week are going to make it play a little bit thicker as well. Some of those hazards completely redone. We talked about an overhaul, and they redid the greens. They redid bunkers. They've redone some fairways. The last time it was played here, this tournament specifically, was 2010. So looking at fairways, apparently they let the rough grow a little bit more narrow outside of tour events that I didn't know about. So they widen the fairways for these tour events. Greens, looking at, but I guess with the fairways, they're a little bit more forgiving than last week. They're a little wider, so off the tee accuracy is going to be probably a little bit of a emphasis, I think, maybe this week.
Yep.
Greens, looking at about 12.5 on the stem, bent grass, overseeded POA, smaller greens, so that approach is going to be really, really emphasized here as well. And then we love that word undulation, undulated, very wave-like. So overall, like I talked about, greens and bunkers have been redone since they last played here. And the thought is that they're probably going to try and make this play a little tough based off of the U.S. Open next week.
Right.
They want to gear it up for the Open. Weather, I kind of mentioned some early rains this week. Overall, highs Thursday and Friday at 72. Thursday does have some thunderstorms as a chance throughout there. Friday, the one thing that you're going to probably see is maybe winds up to 14 mile an hour at most, but that's, again, we talked about it, that's not huge. Sustained winds probably right around 10, maybe a little bit less. Saturday, 70, winds at 11, sustained, and then Sunday, some showers likely, high again at 70. So honestly, kind of get a mix of different weathers, but realistically, pretty decent golf weather.
Yep.
Unless we see some crazy stuff happen on Thursday and stuff gets pushed back or whatever it might be. Maybe we'll have to look at the weather Monday. Strokes gained, kind of key metrics here. A couple that we always emphasize approach, but even more so on smaller greens like this, and greens that people haven't played. So then you don't have to really read as much. You just want to be able to 1-putt, get on your way, or 2-putt, lag putt, get up there and get on your way. So approach is an emphasized one. Tee to green, rather than off the tee. I think tee to green is really just kind of getting home. Green and regulations is probably an emphasis here.
Yep. Length
isn't huge because this is a short course. And then this is where I was kind of in between two things. So we talked about putting last week. We'll talk about it a little bit this week just because it is brand new greens. Who puts better on these? What's the emphasis on it? Yada, yada, yada. But par 3 and par 5 scoring. These are two that I've heard go both ways. So I've heard par 3s, you want to emphasize the scoring because there's more of them here.
Right.
But I've also heard that there's more par 5s than a typical par 70 round. So you want to emphasize your scoring on those. All gettable in 2 by everybody in the field should be gettable in 2 on these par 5s. So I'm not real sure which one I like to emphasize more between those two.
Right. I just think that on the professional tour, I think you have to lean gettable par 5s.
Yeah.
Simply from a math perspective of guaranteed birdies, and I say guaranteed as far as the field goes, you're going to have more of those unreachable par fives than par threes, just from a probability standpoint. So that's why I would lean that way.
And that makes sense. So sometimes I look at strokes gained, par three or whatever it might be, and say, okay, if a guy's got a really, really good approach, he's playing really, really well, approaching the green from, at this rate, I think I think 4 of them are over 200 and one of them's at like 175 or something like that, pretty close. Then do you emphasize that maybe a little bit because you want these guys? If I can get a 2 there and you get a 3, and I come with 3 birdies and 2 pars, and you come with 1 birdie, 4 pars, whatever it is. Like I don't know.
No, I mean, you could definitely, like I said, definitely look both sides. I would just say in my mind, and like that's whereas driver length is not going to be a premium, accuracy more of a premium, but driver length on those par fives, having a scoring club in hand for a Rory McIlroy, a JT, those bigger hitters on tour is at some point going to come into play.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's why Rory's had success here, and some of the guys that are, because if you can score on those par fives, it gives you a little more leeway, obviously, on the rest of the holes.
Yeah, I completely agree there. So field-wise, we're looking, there's some top-heavy. It's top-heavy, and very much so an improvement from years past because it is the week before the Open. We've seen in the years past where it's played the week after the Open.
Right.
So weaker field that next week. But a pretty good field. I think 3 or 4 of the top 5 players in the world. I think another 3 top 10 players. So again, a good field. Course history. Again, last time this event was played there was 2010, and I think that was like the first time in 50 years or something like that it had been played here. So, and reason being is Jack Nicklaus's Glen Abbey, I think is what it was.
Okay.
It was his first design.
Gotcha.
So they played this tournament there because it was his first design. That's what they used to do. Other details, and this is going to be a little bit different and kind of weird this week. So the practice area, the tee, greens, everything like that, the range is actually at a different course.
Oh.
So it's at Islington Golf Course.
Gotcha.
So players have to be shuttled 7 minutes to get from the practice area to here. So instead of teeing off on 1 and 10, because efficiency reasons in the shuttling and everything like that, they tee off on 1 and 9.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So I don't know what do you consider there? Do you still consider 9 as like coming in or going out?
Well, I mean, they're going to have to for this week.
Right. It's just weird, but that is something that's kind of interesting there. So let's get into our picks quick. Let's go bottom to top this week. Let's go player to fade. Stoy came in hot with his player to fade, saying he's not going back to back in his tournament wins. He's taking Sam Burns plus 1,400. He's got the 5th best odds to win.
So do I.
You're taking Burnsy there too.
I mean, in fairness, I had mine filled out before he sent ours this morning, and so I'm not going to change because I wouldn't have changed had he put it on there. But
my guy has the 8th best odds to win. A Canadian hasn't won this tournament since 1954. I'm going Corey Connors.
Interesting.
You're kidding.
I wouldn't do that to you.
Oh man, Corey Connors, 8th odds to win this. That's my player to fade this week, and literally it's because I read that a Canadian hasn't done this in so long. Yeah. Not because I don't like Connors, because I actually think he's not a bad pick this week.
Right.
Top 40.
He's also been making some stops into the course over the last month or so too.
Yeah.
He's familiar.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, but I'm just going to roll with it. I just, honestly, so looking at that top 10 list there, there's not a guy that I don't like. Right. And reason being, like, Sam Burns is playing
really good golf.
Incredible right now. 3 wins this year and several other top 10s, everything like that, just playing really, really good.
Yeah, like the type of greens and grass are just not something he's previously had success on. Guy's on a different level as far as the golf that he's playing right now, though. So that was kind of where I went back and forth. But just, I was kind of on the same page as Stoy as far as a little bit of a fade from not going back to back, but also hasn't proven himself on this type of course. So nothing that I feel overly strong about by any means.
I agree.
With any of those top 10 guys.
Yep. So top 40 here. Stoy has Chris Gotterup at plus 190.
All right.
I'm kind of between two guys here. Who do I want to go with? I'm going to go with a guy that doesn't have a ton of tour experience.
DP World Tour?
Yeah.
21-year-old? Are you kidding me? Come on. Rasmus
Hojgaard?
Get out of here.
I have
Pull that rabbit out of the hat.
At plus 115. I mean, I have him or the guy that's right below him are my two guys.
I'll take that guy.
All right, I'll take the guy below him.
All right.
I'll let you have Rasmus. If he gets top 40, my guy
that's fair.
40
That's fair.
Second, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
But so I will go. Actually, since you just mentioned that, I will go Brendan Todd at plus 120.
Gosh, I do not like how much we're all somewhere in the realm of thinking the same this week. It's making me a little sick to my stomach. I'm not gonna lie.
But DP World Tour, and then his two finishes are like
6th and
18th or 15th or something.
Yeah.
That's good.
I know.
It's good. I can't.
I mean, I'm Black Stallion, Brendan Todd.
Really?
Yeah, plus 6,500. Well, I think he's actually down to. He might even be down to plus 5,000, but yesterday it was 6,500.
That is incredible.
That's when you said that. I was like, oh, I mean, because, and like I actually went back and forth on those two because you could get both.
He's at 5,000. Yep,
on either side, but I just think Todd has a better chance at winning.
That's fair.
Than Hojgaard.
But
I actually think Hojgaard has a better chance at finishing higher. Like, not winning, but finishing.
That's like my Packers thing.
Right,
that's my Packers thing. The Packers have a better chance of finishing third than they do first.
Right.
Yeah, that's like.
So
yeah, that's exactly my Packers thing.
There. Yeah. So,
I'm between two guys here. One guy's kind of a short course specialist. Another guy, this again kind of fits him a little bit better. But this guy had just one big blow up hole last week. For my Black Stallion, I'm going CT Pan.
Oh, you're going back to the well.
I haven't
skipping over your boy Patty P.
I haven't picked CT Pan yet. I haven't. Stoy took him last week, and it was a good.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a good pick. But yeah, I do really like Pat Perez.
Yeah, I had him down in a couple. Just couldn't. I liked other people better. So
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, and I probably would have taken Pat Perez had CT Pan not just short courses fit him.
Right.
And that's where I'm at. Outright winners. Stoy going with Corey Connors. I mean, we're doubling up there. I had Connors as my fade kind of right away.
Right.
I had a couple question marks on him because I still do like the guy, but so I could see him winning this tournament and me getting screwed over. But
I mean, I'm going away from, since Stoy already has you covered on that. I'm gonna pick Rory, but that is also who was a major consideration for me and who I don't have available for one and done.
Yeah. My outright winner, a guy that just had a bad Sunday last week, but is a really good golfer, and I think not having as much driver and being able to just control the ball at the tee rather than let a driver get kind of wonky, I'm going to go Cam Smith.
Okay.
One and dones. Stoy, again, I think this guy is playing some of the best golf all year. We talked about him struggling maybe sometimes to win just because does he have that firepower? He's going to get a win. It's just a matter of when, not a matter of if. But Matt Fitzpatrick at plus 1,600, I think that's a great one and done pick.
Yeah, and it's honestly it's enhanced by the weather forecast.
Yeah,
just a rain, a little wind, like just a guy he's going to be there. I think he would be great top 10 money this week, great top 5 money.
Yeah,
good in some match stuff. Definitely a guy that you're going to want to look at. I'm going with a guy that kind of has fallen off the radar, but is making his way back. a guy that's hard to like, Patrick Reed.
He is hard to like. What are his?
He's 13th overall and plus 3,400.
He's actually gone down to 4,100.
Oh,
there's a lot of movement though.
Yeah, there has been, even from yesterday to today.
There's a ton of movement. I think Fitzpatrick moved a lot.
Moved up a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, there's just some guys going. So he's at plus 4,100.
Patrick Reed is, I mean, it's again, length. He's gotten shorter over the last few years. He's great around the greens. When the putter gets hot, it's dangerous, as we've seen in some Ryder Cup stuff over the years. And he's trending in the right direction. I think this is a course that he can win at.
Absolutely. And then one and done for me, I am going Rory. You said you didn't have him left. That's a guy that, again, a weather thing, a recent form thing, and a course that could fit him par fives where he can get long and have a scoreable club in hand. He does actually, and this is kind of, I have it here. I mean, he does kind of struggle a little bit. He's right in the smack dab in the middle of par three scoring.
Yep.
So as long as he can kind of keep it at bay with that par three scoring, score well. I think he's 11th or 10th or something like that. Top 15, I know, in the world in par five scoring. As long as he can do that, I think he'll be all right.
And he needs his putter to be consistent for him.
What do you think is a good number this week?
That is just a great question. Do you have any history on that over the last couple of years?
At this current, that's the tough part. At this event, it's like 20, 23, 21, 22. Here, let me go back to the last time it was one here. RVC.
In like 2010, you said?
Yes, it was 2010 was the last time it was played here. 14 under was, I think, yes, technology, maybe skill has gotten better, but I also think
they've tightened the course up.
The course has gotten harder.
More of a premium on hitting fairways, obviously.
I think it's going to be maybe play very similar to Muirfield last week, just shorter course.
So, I mean, based on that, what's your initial thought number? I've got one in my head.
11.
The number in my head was 12. So do we say 11.5?
Yeah, if you go 11.5, I'll take the under.
Okay, and I'll take the over on that.
Okay. We'll ask Stoy. More than likely, he's going to take the under, right?
He always takes the under. But he also likes to fade you, so...
We'll put under with an asterisk.
Yep.
All right, perfect. Let's. So that's our picks this week. We're gonna jump into the LIV Tour a little bit here,
real quick. Just on a final note of this tournament leading into the U.S. Open, Tiger did announce today that he won't be playing in the U.S. Open.
Yeah, that is true.
Not big news. It's the right move. It's a course that doesn't fit him. A course that he really hasn't had any sustained success at. Needs to heal up, and
you said he needs to get stronger.
He's really going for it at the Open, meaning the British Open, on a course that he absolutely loves, and that will not be nearly as hard on his knee. So just a quick update on that. He will not be playing next week in the U.S. Open, but no surprise there, and we'll see him in a month or so.
Yep, absolutely. So LIV Tour, the kind of thing was layers, difference. I don't know how the rules will be, but like the best explanation that you have for it.
Right. So I've done the last 24 hours-ish, done a ton of digging. I did not know, and this is just not looking into it or thinking about it really at all. So LIV stands for 54. It's the Roman numerals for 54. 54 is because that's the number of holes they play on the LIV Tour. And also it's 18 under par on a par 72, they say. So I guess a great round if you were to shoot it. Not really a feasible one unless you're playing best ball, but hey.
You're not wrong.
So
72? Yeah.
It is an amazingly different format. Regardless of how you feel about the event, where the money comes from, It is happening. Players are giving all kinds of reasons for leaving. Phil, obviously the last one to come on, $200 million is reported what he got to join the LIV Tour, $125 million reportedly for Dustin Johnson. Those are the two big guys that we've heard the big numbers as far as outside of what they're going to get to play. They are signing contracts to be a part of or be faces of this tournament.
Yeah, they were talking a lot on a podcast that I listened to about Taylor Gooch, and a guy that even if he finished last in every single event, he'd still get like $150K.
Right.
Now, there's some guys from the Australian tour, European tour, different stuff like that Taylor Gooch is not going to finish last in every single event. No. Will he finish last in any event? I don't know that he will. He's a really good golfer.
Too many not good.
There's some amateur
golfers.
Yeah, exactly. But they're getting a mixed bag, and I think that's what makes it fun. And I think we'll bring it up a little bit with the team format, the team style. That's probably going to make it fun. As some of those unsung heroes that you hear about in other sports, like maybe that comes out now a little bit more in this format. But I don't know. I'm actually really, really excited for this.
So it starts this week. So like I said, it is 54 holes. So they will not start till Friday. They'll play Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Was this week weird?
They play
for whatever reason.
Meaning that, no, I'm pretty sure they start Friday. Starts on the 9th.
I think you're right. I'm trying to
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The 9th is
Thursday.
Yes. So, but still only 3 days. So all of the events, there'll be 7, 5 of which I believe are actually in the U.S. and 2 of which are outside. And then there'll be a final event, which we'll get into when we get into the team stuff. But first event in London, it's 54 holes. You're guaranteed to make the cut, and it is a shotgun start. So this week at the Canadian Open, we're starting on 1 and 9. This week in the LIV Tour, you'll have guys starting on 16 of the 18 holes as a threesome. So there's 48 people in each event, and that of those 48, the purse will be broken up. The last place finisher of the 48 will get $120,000.
Okay, that's what it is. Yep.
The first place winner will get $4 million, which is basically double any of the big tour events.
There's one. Is it the players that I think they get 3.6 or something like that?
So every tournament is a $20 million purse for the individual event, split over 48 golfers. Again, first place gets $4 million, last place gets $120. At the end of the 7 events, whoever has the most points will win an $18 million bonus. Second place will get an $8 million bonus, and third place will get a $4 million bonus. So $30 million split 3 ways. If you win you have to participate in at least 4 of the events and have the most points racked up over a 7-event field. The team event, which is directly a part of the individual event, you have 12 captains, and we'll get the team names, logos. We'll have that graphic up. There is a graphic for that has the team names and the captains, so we'll pull that from Twitter or YouTube or wherever. So it's 12 teams of 4. There are captains for each of the teams. How deep a dive do you want to do into the captains here? I mean, DJ's a captain. Louis Oosthuizen's a captain. Kevin Na's a captain. Phil Mickelson's a captain. Taylor Gooch is a captain. Most of the names you've heard, and then
Sergio captain.
Sergio's a captain. Ian Poulter, Graham McDowell, Martin Keimer. So
Ian Poulter, for a guy like on tour, isn't making tens of millions of dollars. I mean, he's making his money from sponsorships, different stuff like that. He got paid $30 million to come over to this tour.
Yep. So, I mean, these are names. So 8 of the 12 captains are what I would call names you've heard of. There's 4 guys that I would say you probably haven't, nor have I heard of at least 3 of them. These guys are going to pick 4 golfers for the first 2 days. Their team score is determined by 2 of their players. Whatever their score is. The third round is accumulation of 3 of the players, the lowest accumulation of scores over the 3 days. For each of the teams wins there's $5 million split between the the top 3 places in teams. So the winning team gets $3 million split 4 ways. Second place team gets $1.5 million split 4 ways, and the third place team gets $500,000 split 4 ways. So if you finish third place in a team event in which you are not the score taken and just finish dead last in the tournament, you're walking away with another $125,000 plus your last place money of $120,000. So for the event, you could literally play the worst golf of your life and walk away with $250,000. And that's why people are playing on this tour. Very simply put. Now, the 8th event of the year is actually a team championship. Not certain, so I'm not even going to go into details because they really haven't been released on how these teams come to play. But basically, the 12 teams get seeded. First 4 get a bye. They go through a bracket, and it's a match play 4-day event.
Yeah, we can pull up
$16
this
million
graphic too.
Yeah, $16 million for the winning team. Last place team of the 12. So literally, if you do terrible, you still get $1 million split 4 ways. So you're still walking away with $250,000. If you're in the event at the end of the year, which my assumption is that will be based on how you play individually and seedings throughout, and they'll draft for that as well. Again, those items have not been released, so we'll talk more about that as it comes. But basically, money talks. Money will keep talking. This is what I see as something that's very in between a PGA and senior tour, especially for popular golfers. I think we're going to see more and more guys that retire. Kevin Na, Louis Oosthuizen, Sergio, Phil from the tour. The Champions Tour, they would dominate. It's not a competitive enough field for them. Obviously, the money's not even close to what it is. I think it's a good whisk away. DJ has said he didn't want to play golf the rest of his life, so that's why he took the $125 million. DJ could walk away and not play golf again ever, so don't tell me that that's the reason.
Right.
Those are the issues that I have with the guys that are going is like, just tell me you really, really, really want a lot of money. And Tiger turned down almost,
did they say
almost $1 billion. It was like 700 and some million dollars.
Yeah, they said it was like high nine figures.
But Tiger, I mean, once you have a certain amount of money, you don't need more of it. Again, all of these guys.
Some of these guys. What I'm going to be curious to hear about is some of these guys that have made their money and done their time. A lot of them are exempt, have exemptions for like majors and different stuff like that. So I'm curious as to what the majors, how they're going to react. I was in the process of reading something for the U.S. Open, and I think it was like, we're not going to support those guys. This. They're competing with us, but one way that these guys are getting around the tour suspensions, different stuff like that. These opens say, yes, we can suspend you. If you're suspended, you can't play.
Right.
But they're resigning. If they're resigning, they didn't get suspended. They can still technically play in these if they have exemptions.
You're going to see a lot of certain things done a certain way because lawyers have been involved and informed these players to do certain things. Again, the resigning from the PGA Tour is one thing. They also get to keep their PGA pension if they do that. I've read.
Yeah.
So there's certain ways to go about it. And also they could be reinstated, certain things like that. Whereas if the tour kicks you off or suspends you, then you're leaving it in the tour's hands, which at this point, none of these players want to do. So they're all paying a good money to a legal team, which they can more than afford at this point based on that. But if you do want to watch, again, that starts on Thursday. That's the other thing. No TV partners at this point.
It's on YouTube.
YouTube, livegolf.com. I assume would probably be live streaming is what I've seen, and then possibly on Facebook.
Yeah. So one more thing on that, and you kind of mentioned, I'd just be curious. We've talked a lot about NIL and different stuff like that, and this money. What that will do? A lot of kids are going towards the money, gravitating towards the money. If you get golfers that are getting NIL deals, that it's starting to become more and more popular. For example, like a Little John Daly, like, is this something that could be intriguing to him because he's got a lot of popularity?
I mean, I think this is a whole conversation I think, I mean, whether this is a half an hour conversation, in my opinion, because I think the possibilities and the money available, this will, if they're not targeting that player, those types of players, I mean, we're talking over the last 3 years, you're talking the Mav McNeelys, the Victor Hovlands, the Matthew Wolfs of the world, all would be guys who would have had enormous NIL targets, therefore LIV targets.
Yep.
Throw $5 million at them. I mean, how do you say no?
Exactly. So we'll talk more about this, but I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's going to be here for a while. A lot of times we see competitors with, the NFL and these different organizations that just fizzle out because the NFL is just such a powerhouse with all the money. Mm-hmm. There's money in the backing here, and there's some players going to these. You don't hear Aaron Rodgers going to the XFL and different stuff like that. So you don't see the success maybe, but Dustin Johnson's, Gooch's, Sergio's, Nas, Phil Mickelson's, Poulter's, big names going to this. Mm-hmm. It's going to drive success.
Well, and the PGA Tour continues to get younger, continues to get longer, continues to get more competitive. Like I said, as these guys fade and are still competitive, but battling to make cuts, battling to make some money in their mind compared to what they were making earlier on in their career, it's an easy payday.
Yeah.
You're guaranteed. You show up and finish 3 rounds of golf, you get $120,000.
Yeah.
If you made the cut last week, you made $25,000 and finished and if you didn't make the cut, you made $0.
So 10 events basically, or 8 events.
Yep,
sorry.
8 events, 7 individuals.
7 individuals. So I'm making right around, what would that be?
Basically, you're making
$840,000-$900,000 just to play.
Yeah, if I'm able
making
to
$1 million
be
just to
in
play,
all 7 events, I'm pretty much guaranteed $1 million.
And guys a lot of guys won't come close to seeing that on the tour.
And and that's a bigger reason why the nil thing comes into play.
Yeah,
because those guys, and a lot of them are from very affluent backgrounds anyway. But if you don't have to go through the grind of getting in a car, traveling to the airport, like the story we were talking about last week, when you're the 7th alternate or anything like that, and you can just be guaranteed a spot, I mean, you're going to take care of you. They're going
to start snagging some of these Mitos, some of these Zalatoris's, some of these guys that were really, really good, high level on Corn Ferry. They're going to start snagging these guys.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is you're going to have to the thing with the fields is there are only 48 spots available. So at some point, you got to be careful not to burn a bridge if you're one of these bottom guys who's not going to have a chance as some of the higher profile guys shuffle over, because, I mean, if you're a name, you're going to get a spot over a guy that's not a name.
Not wrong.
I mean, they've been waiting for Phil Mickelson to say yes, so therefore they didn't give that spot away until.
Yep.
So that I think is going to be the biggest thing, is just that the fields are half the size, basically.
Correct.
So,
all right. Well, as always, everybody, we appreciate you. This was a fun week talking about some of these more controversial topics with the LIV Tour. I mean, I think it's going to be fun. But as always, we appreciate you. Like, subscribe, follow, share. Give a shit. What's better, Jaeger or Fireball? We want to hear. That's just a tough one to talk about. If you've had Porch Rocker, I want to hear about it, because I got to try it now. I'll probably pick up a pack on the way home, maybe. Mm-hmm. Maybe have a couple tonight. Mm-hmm. All right. Take care, everybody.
It's time.